What's up, everybody? It's your favorite third options, favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Transform and Rollout Agent Meister. This is all loaned to me from the good folks at East Coast Toys. You know, I don't show packaging off, but I did want to show this. They always include some sort of treat, whether it be a sticker or a patch or what have you. Let me get a shot of that. And it's very kind and thoughtful. I'm always into stuff like that. The link to their store will be in the description. They hit me up and asked if I wanted to take a look at it, and I was like, not really, but I think other people do. No, I said I would like to take a look at it. And we'll go ahead and do that. As you can see, I cleaned the backdrop up a little bit, so new review, new figure, new backdrop. Let's get started. And of course, we'll start with accessories. He comes with these two things, that thing from that episode. A nice blue chrome and silver chrome. I had to admit, my first impressions of this thing out of the box are far better than I would have imagined. It feels good, and the accessories look clean and sharp, as you can see. And these can plug in using this notch system right here, but be mindful because it's a tight fit and you don't want to chip any of the chrome or paint. But there it is in a finished look. And as you can see, it chipped the paint on both sides. And these can also peg in to his shoulders so that you can kind of have the over the shoulder look, if that suits your fancy. I'm not sure that it suits mine, and then you can just kind of adjust it as need be so that it sits properly. I'm not sure if that's the best way to do it, but that's how they have it. Comes with this blaster. It's a gray piece, but I believe it's painted. I could be wrong about that, but it feels painted. Yeah, it's definitely painted. And it is chipping a bit down here at this hinge where it's pinned in. So be mindful of that, but it looks good. The sculpt is clean, fully painted. I don't have too much to fuss about. He will hold his gun, but it's not the best connection, at least on mine, and I'm guessing that's because of the paint on the handle itself. But it's a typical kind of masterpiece style notch system on the handle, but mine just doesn't stay stuck in all that well. It's in there pretty good right now. And then lastly, every Jazz has to kind of come with this, which is his grapple. And once again, we got chrome on it. There is a fingerprint smudge on this, and individual results will vary. It's all over this thing though, so it's a good thought. It's a good approach, but not entirely efficient in how it was accomplished. Obviously, the spool does lengthen the rope and so on, so you can sort of have the playability of all of that. And to utilize the grappling hook, just fold the hand in. If yours is like mine, you'll find that one is very easy to fold in. And then this clips around tension-wise on this bar here, and that works perfectly fine. And now let's talk about the car. Rolls like a champ, no problem. Chrome rims, they look sharp as a tack. Rubber tires, they feel good. And it's like the racing, like with no kind of tread on them. I dig that as well. Paint is sharp and clean. It's like fully painted, it feels like anyway. Very surprisingly, quality on this unit, I must say. Nice gray underneath. You can see a little bit of the robot bits and so forth. All the sort of logo stuff. This rear end, I do have a hard time kind of getting to kind of get stuck in all the way, but I don't know. I don't know if that's a big issue or not, but it's worth noting, I suppose. But yeah, no real issues. We got the tinted windows with the Martini Racing on the front. Like, I don't really have a whole lot to complain about. Size comparison wise, there it is with Tiger Tracks, and fits in Optimus trailer. Let's get him transformed. Break away these two sections here in the back that connect the spoiler. Break the connection here in the middle. Once again, be careful. I believe this is a translucent tab. It may not be, but after my flip out situation, I'm advising everyone to be careful. Break the connection of the legs together. Extend the legs down. They're basically combiner ward, but you just don't see how they accordion in. Open up these gray flaps on both sides. And then you want to disconnect the feet and bring them down a bit. This piece can be extremely challenging, and it's challenging for different reasons, but you want to separate this from this piece and rotate it down. I had to do the same thing on this side, but there it is. There was paint, if you can see, that was stuck between the two pieces, but it will go, you just have to maneuver it. Then you have to angle this foot on this gray rod here, that's on a double hinge basically, up until that black tab fits properly in this gray block. And unfortunately, this doesn't move exactly as you would want it to either. but let's see if we can't get it done. And we're going to do the same for the other side. And I'll tell you another problem that this thing faces because of the paint is when you're trying to get this tab in here, simultaneously that tab in the back has to go down in there. And getting all of that to line up properly while preserving the paint can be an issue. There it is. Then you close this gray flap down, and that will encapsulate all of that. And then this piece up here comes forward, and this piece comes down and cleans up the knee, which is nice. Same for the other side. If you open up these car doors here, they'll slide back on these rails here, and then the windows will fold down. So you can do that to both sides. Pull your arms down from the side and get them out of the way. On the top, you have to disconnect this piece from this piece, much like the old G1. And the instructions have you just pull it away, but I'll tell you, like, oh God, it's such a tight fit, it doesn't feel good. And then this can flip around to the inside of the windshield. And now we need to do a little bit more prep work. So get your arms out of the way. On the underside, flip the tire around on this hinge and slide them up and then push the whole assembly in. So around on the first hinge, slide them up on that rail there, push in. The instructions show to have that piece, that gray piece, it looks like on the inside. I looked around on the internet, I can't find, I actually had to do some research for this, you guys are out of your mind. For some way that everybody I've seen has it like this. And that does stay. But this is not the way the instructions show it. But that will do it. And then you can bring the head up. On the back, push the two windows in. One is a little bit more stubborn than the other. Bring them around. This piece down here is on a double hinge. So just try to clear that. Bring this around. That sliding rail on this one is really loose. And then this comes up and tabs into the back here. For the shoulders, you just have to like almost force these pieces in, it seems, in order to get them to stay stuck in. And this one isn't even quite lined up right on these two like tension notches. Let's see if I can show you better on the other side. It's not the best. It works, but it doesn't give you warm and fuzzies in doing it. And then thank God it gets a little easier. Slide this arm down, open the flap up, spin the hand out. This hand is very loose. Close it up. Same for the other side. Slide down, open the flap, flip the hand, close it up. I'll get them cleaned up. We'll take a look at them. So let's talk about the figure. Final thoughts on this one are going to be interesting. The head, it's a ball peg connected to a hinge down at the bottom. This is the second time I've seen this done recently. The visor is a translucent blue. I don't think it's the right choice. I think it should have been painted. Articulation wise, you get down a little bit, up a fair bit, I guess, and then the swivel, confused dog look. All the race car detailings come through beautifully, so no issues there. The shoulders. So the shoulders are very strange. You have a hinge here. That allows you to get the arm past 90 degrees, so that's no real problem. And that swivels, so it acts like a universal joint. You have a bicep swivel, and then you have a single hinged elbow. And my shoulders are still continuing to come unpegged here. I don't like this connection at all. Same for the other side. Wrist swivel. Fingers are on a base pen knuckle and you have typewriter hands, which is fine for a figure this size. You kind of, but it basically does, the typewriter hands, is it limits you to a relaxed pose hand or a gripping / fist hand. And I think for most figures, that's fine. It's when you start getting into the bigger ones where it seems more of an issue. The paint on the chest looks great. The grays with the blues and the reds and the yellows. And then you have a waist swivel as well. It does get hit up on these things, but you can get them out of the way a bit. So I think we should kind of keep that together. These doors here also fold in a little bit tighter if you really keep messing with them, like as you can kind of see on this one. But I don't want to put any more wear and tear on the paint of this thing. I already have done a fair share of damage. So then you have the hip skirts. As I told you, they hinge out. I'm not sure why they did this. I mean, other than the speakers, you know, it's just a bit unsightly. And then the whole front flap is on one hinge, so that's not great either. Universal joints get you the, not the full Monty, but close enough, I think. The forward motion's what matters the most. And the full Van Dam on Universal's non-ratcheted. You get a thigh swivel built at the bottom of the Universal, so that's perfect. The knee is a single hinge. There's a little bit in there, but it doesn't really go towards articulation, and it gets you less than 90 degrees. Detailings wise, the white looks great, and like all of the gray still looks good. I prefer this over that swirly gray that Make Toys used, the way that this ends up looking. I think it looks good. And then we have the feet. So you don't really get an ankle tilt at all. You do get a rocker. It's on this little hinge right here, but it's extremely limited. I said it's extremely limited due to the heel and how the heel hits up against this back piece here. So it's a limited rocker, but it is there. So I don't know. I don't know about this. It's kind of fine. It's got some issues, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more in depth in here in a second. And size comparison wise, there he is next to the Make Toys one, so they're comparable. I'll tell you what I like better about the one that we're talking about. I like the black. I think the black is so much more effective than the gray, but I prefer the silver on the Make Toys one and less of the kind of racing decal stuff. But I think the black works a lot better, and I think the straight gray paint works a lot better than that swirly gray plastic. All right, let's talk about the negatives. The engineering is a bit of a bear, and that's mainly because a lot of pieces don't move smoothly, or the paint hinders connection points, or the instructions don't do a very good job of explaining exactly what it is that you're supposed to do. That's probably my biggest gripe about the figure, but I have more. I don't like the shoulder connections one bit. They're fine, and they'll do the job. I just don't like them personally. I don't like the way that they tab in. I don't like how they scratch the paint if you're not being super careful. And while we're on that subject, a lot of the paint gets scratched from applying either the accessories or manipulating the transformation, so be mindful. That's one of the things that can come with a lot of uses of paint, and they use a lot of it, so be very cautious. There's also some build inconsistencies that may be specific to mine, but like that one wrist was loose, etc., etc. And then articulation wise, there's some limitations both in the head and neck, and then in the feet that kind of prevent this from really taking any sort of gold medal. Positives though, most of the articulation is there. The materials feel great to me. Like the build, weight, materials all feel good. It's painted to the nines. The alt mode is beautiful. And I think it comes with enough accessories where it seems worthwhile, but not leaving you wanting more, nor feeling like it's excessive. Let me tell you what I think this is. Have you ever heard the expression, your eyes are too big for your stomach? You order a whole bunch of food because you feel hungry, but then you eat and you can only eat like half of it. I feel like this is the approach that this company had, where they really wanted to knock this thing out of the park, and they gave it all they had, but as a result, maybe their ambition was a bit too big for their stomach, or a bit too big for their product. There's stuff involved with this that makes me think this isn't this company's first rodeo, and then there's other stuff that does make me think it's this company's first rodeo. Some stuff feels seasoned and experienced, other stuff seems very novice. It's not a bad figure though, and I can still give it a recommend. I just think the other two options are better, that being the Toy World and the Make Toys, with Make Toys being my personal favorite. However, this isn't a bad figure, and the margins between what makes the three one better than the other are very slim. Just be aware of all the issues that I commented on in this video, because they are numerous and sometimes could feel deal-breaking depending on how you feel about paint finish and playability and stuff like that. So I hope that helps. Thanks again to East Coast Toys for letting me take a look at this. I'm going to try to get it back in the mail today or tomorrow. And thank you for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.